cool. That countdown had blue and orange on it. That was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, totally planned it that way.
Of course you
Hey,
did.
welcome to Barely Educated. This is Chris Teichler, joined with Mark Jansen. We are Sunday afternoon talking about the Bears' Saturday night preseason game against the Indianapolis Colts, which the Colts win 24-17. Boo hoo. I'm so sad the Bears lost. Okay, that's over with. Uh, Sometimes hard to dissect preseason games, but definitely some players worth pointing some things out. And that's what we're going to do today, as well as talk about how the practices against the Colts went this week. And
Hmm.
let's dive right into it. Hello, Mark. Dr.
Hello,
Jensen.
Chris. Yeah, so Matt Eberflus's undefeated preseason record is over.
No.
Back when I would play Madden all the time in college and I'd sim the seasons most of the time, you wanted to be like, that was when there were 4 games, like 1-3. If you had too good of a preseason, your team was trash.
Yes.
See also the Chicago Bears last year, right? So
3-0,
bring on
right?
the close
Yeah,
loss, sure.
exactly.
And no one mattered much played, or not very many people who mattered much for week one played in that game. That was a depth game and a fill out the margins of the roster kind of game. So obviously no reason to get worked up about the outcome, but it is worth seeing how players did. These are the kind of things that will matter for final cuts, and there's some things to talk about. And I think it's always interesting to see how the rookies do, because we want to see what they look like against NFL competition.
For sure. Yeah.
But before we get to that, my church story.
Oh, you got a church story.
So today was the day that they were like hyping up the new year of small groups, like it kind of corresponds with like the school year. So for whatever reason, they decided it was also going to be like rep your team day at church. So I
Okay.
wore my Justin Fields white jersey.
Wow.
Wife
Nice.
wouldn't let me wear the orange, and I don't have a navy one, so
What? The
Yeah,
orange is
yeah.
too
The
loud,
navy
I
ones always
guess.
sell out. Yeah, orange is too loud.
Okay.
And two of the three children wore their jerseys to their thing, and so then
Excellent.
this guy that had seen me a while back at our church and noticed my Chicago Bears coffee thermos.
Mm.
Talked to me about the Bears, and sure enough, he saw me there, and we talked for a good little while. But the funniest part about it is he's wearing his Bears shirt, and we do communion every week. And there he was, one of the people doing the like officiating communion in his Bears shirt. Yeah, I was like, this is the most blessed communion of my life.
The
And
body
we
of Christ,
we
my friend.
we talked afterwards, and I was like, it took every ounce of willpower that I normally don't have to not be like, go Bears. He's like, yeah, same here. I was
Oh
like,
my
I'll catch him
goodness.
after. I was like, I didn't want that bad juju right before the season start.
Yeah.
So I held off everyone.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I knew you'd appreciate that. And I was like,
I
this is meant to
do.
be. The Bears fan is the one serving me communion. Oh, and here comes the coffee. Look at
Whoa.
that. Top tier wifey.
Whoa. That's
Oh, and
amazing.
here's the aforementioned Bears thermos, complete with a
It's
sticker
beautiful.
from one of the children.
Oh, that's beautiful, my friend.
Yeah. And now
Oh.
I've got the Soldier Fields.
Soldier Fields.
Soldier. What are you doing? The barely educated shirt again?
Yeah, I got my
Yeah, okay.
the old one,
Oh, okay, the
the
old
old
one. Yeah,
school
yeah.
one. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We don't coordinate these. We're gonna have to at some point.
Yeah, maybe
There was
so.
like there was a Hogan Johns the other day where they both wore the same shirt. It was their JD one memorializing Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
like of any of them to have like a repeat, I suppose that would be the one they'd say, yeah, let's both do that. But it was an accidental. Anyway, so yeah, I thought you'd appreciate the story.
That's beautiful, my friend.
Never has communion meant so much to me. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
We're gonna hear it from former student Tim.
Yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy.
What? No falsetto?
Former student Tim. Sorry.
Okay.
Let me do it right. Former student Tim.
It's
There
it's
we
the
go.
preseason for us too, everyone.
Yeah, I've been out of practice. You know.
Speaking of people
Sorry,
for whom
Tim.
it's the preseason, the refs really turned that into an absolutely dreadful watch, didn't they?
Uh,
There were like
do,
25 penalties or something absolutely ridiculous.
do they get slack for that or no? What do you think?
I mean, in the sense that it doesn't matter, sure, but in the sense of like, guys, I don't want to watch 4 hours of preseason football.
Yeah. Now, is some of that you think because they're over calling any new rules or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's like
Are
there's some
they
new
They used to do that, right? Where they'd be like, "There's an emphasis on X," and then you'd be
right,
like, "Oh my gosh, they better not carry over."
right.
Remember, like the pass interference after the Saints Rams game.
Uh huh.
So I do wonder if some of that's almost by design. But that game took forever, and we're stuck with the Colts broadcast. They
Yeah,
interviewed
that's
the
an
owner for
NFL
like the
broadcast.
entire third quarter.
Yeah. Even my father-in-law texted me. He's like, "I hate that the announcers are saying our team." Like, yeah, and he's a Raiders
Yeah.
fan, so like he's not even. But I think he
What?
felt
Wait a minute.
felt
How did
from the.
that happen?
He's from Arizona, and when he was growing up, there was no team there, and he said that everyone either picked the Raiders or the Cowboys to be their team in Phoenix.
Oh, fair enough.
So my wife actually grew up a Raiders fan, and she
The
converted
Raiders
my friend.
used to be so cool. So, do you have any? So let's transition to. I don't know. You want to do the game or the week of practice first?
Uh,
The week
game.
is more important, but the game's
Okay.
more recent.
Well, yeah. Let's do game first. That's where
Okay.
that's where my thoughts are.
So, how about some stock up, stock down? Isn't that what we're supposed to do as talking heads
True.
now?
Yes.
One of us is supposed to be really bad at this and like totally ill-informed.
That's me.
I
I
was
call
making a,
that. I call
I
that
was,
guy.
I was making a Shady McCoy joke. You saw the clip going around where he gets like
Ugh.
trounced by James Jones, the Packer, on the
Yep.
Fields conversation. More on that if we have time. But
Okay.
yeah, so stock up, stock down. Who's up? Give me one up, and then I'll do an up.
This is a real obvious one, I guess. But Tyson Bagent.
Yeah,
I
he looked
mean,
pretty good. Goes through the reads quick, decisive.
yeah, and I don't want to. He's playing second and third stringers, but he. It looks everything on the field looks slower for him.
It really does.
You know.
Like, and it was interesting when Eberflus like did not close the door to a no. We have our QB2. Off side note, it's like really nice as a Bears fan that we're having a QB controversy over QB2. Let's make that perfectly
Yes.
clear as well. But that's not what we're used to.
Yeah.
But yeah, what if they have something here? And Eberflus
Yeah.
wanted to get him behind the better line, the twos, because even Darnell Wright didn't play, right? Even rookies didn't play in that. But
Mm-hmm.
it was really interesting seeing how much more efficient he was than Walker. And it's like,
Right.
Walker, are you like you were okay last year? Where's that Walker? He's been terrible for the Bears.
He has not looked good. He's looked jittery and slow.
Everything seems like
And,
overthrown too. I feel like.
yeah. Yeah. And that would be what he signed for $2 million, 2 years, $2 million.
Yeah, it wouldn't
That,
kill you if you didn't keep him. I mean,
who, if they kept three, who would you see them? Walker or Peterman gets cut.
it's tough because if you're just basing it off of what they've shown up to this point in August, Walker's the one you try to sneak onto the practice squad. And by the way, if someone else claimed him, they'd be on the hook for the money.
Oh,
So that's a wrinkle I think we should keep in mind as
Okay.
Foles makes this decision in a couple weeks.
Hmm.
Unless Walker plays much better against the Bills and then eases the problem. But if you're going by like whole career, Peterman would be the odd man out.
Yeah.
I'm keeping Bajan on the roster. I don't think I can sneak him into the practice squad right now.
No. Mm-mm.
No chance. And we can have
I
the
agree.
extra guy now with the new rule.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm putting him on the roster. And then Peterman had the best throw of this preseason, though.
That's the thing.
That was a great ball. I don't know where it came
Mhm.
from, considering who threw it, but that was a great throw.
That's the thing.
Touchdown is what I'm talking about, obviously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Down the side. Yeah, the far side.
And he was on the run. I mean, that was like
Yeah. Even the Colts announcers were like, "Whoa, great throw."
Nathan Peterman. What?
So I mean, that's what.
But he's been bad every time he's played actual NFL football, and Walker's had his moments. So it's like, I guess I'm keeping Walker and Bajan, but I don't know that Peterman deserves to be cut over Walker in this literal second.
Right. And that's what's hard to know about preseason, because if you could look good in preseason but still be bad, but if you look bad in preseason, you're still probably bad. Hey, we
The
got
chance.
a comment here.
Peterman. Go ahead.
Nice. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Thanks for listening, Shugoshin
Yeah, he says
9720.
Peterman blacked out and forgot who he was on the throw. Yeah, he channeled his inner fields on the run.
He sure did.
But one throw doesn't make him a good QB, so I guess I'd still probably cut
Yeah.
him. But that right now is the big conversation. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the big thing on Twitter is Tyson Bagent for backup QB.
Do you remember when Favre was the Packers quarterback and
All too well.
they, yeah, there's more to the sentence. But they always seem to have a good backup that would eventually, get traded to someone else. Like Matt Hasselbeck was Favre's backup for a bit before he.
Matt Flynn.
Well, God.
They did it a couple times. Yeah.
That's the greatest
They got a
trade the
second
Packers
for
have
Matt
ever
Flynn,
made. Yep.
I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
And
was
it was
quite
the
a good
Seahawks
trade.
that ended up with two of those guys over the years too,
Yep.
which is kind of funny. Yeah, it's about time the Bears have a young development QB that they stash
Yeah.
and either trade later or he ends up being meaningful for the Bears. I mean, I obviously want Fields to pan out and Bagent to not be necessary, but how great would it be if Bagent looks good every chance he gets and they can get a pick for him in a couple years?
Yeah.
Stop with the double old guys thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and his play is making it a very easy decision to keep him on the
that's
roster,
the
I think.
thing. Yeah. Yeah, totally agree. Um,
Okay, so I guess I'll do a stock up.
okay.
I don't think it needs to go up that much. I mean, he's not going anywhere for sure. But Rashawn Johnson, longest run of the night and a nice catch.
He looks, yeah.
I said it way back. We'll just reiterate. I still think he's going to get the bulk of the touches or snaps. I think they're going to do committee for sure all year. But I think by like second half of the season, he'll be the one getting the majority. It may be just barely over the other guys, over Herbert especially, because I didn't think Foreman looked all that great so far.
No,
looks
I
a touch
agree.
slow, but another guy who had a really nice year last year.
Mm-hmm.
But Roshan looks like a complete back, and
Yeah.
I think it's definitely worth keeping an eye on how they divvy up that snap count as the season goes. But they're going to do it by committee. But I think stock up, continuing to go up, even though it was already good.
Johnson seems like the guy who can, do what Montgomery was doing. Be the guy to take most of the carries and beat up the line a little bit. He doesn't go down on first contact.
He's a little faster, right?
Hmm.
I hope.
Oh, the
That was
Montgomery? Yeah. Oh,
problem. Yeah. And
Yeah.
they can both block. Yeah, which means eventually he's the lead back whenever that is. And Herbert's yards per carry, and he's so good on the zone read and the outside zone that he's going to get a lot too. But he's no third down guy, and eventually Roshan just keeps doing what we need him to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yep.
stock down.
Is your stock down on Tyreek Stevenson?
A little bit. He's still starting on the outside for me. But I don't like dropping another interception. Now, the one in game one was a heck of a play and would have been a great catch for a corner. The one last night he should have had, and that led to a touchdown. That was just weird. That play was weird. And worse, he had the roughing call on the late hit out of bounds, which I didn't think was tacky. Like, they call that every time. It might not be like a hard hit, but they're going to call that every time with the way the rules favor the O.
Yeah. Right.
So, like, if they're like, oh, we love his edge, okay, but he's got to rein it in if he's going to be starting.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's like a fine line in there. So I think he had a worse game, yeah, but I think he's still a starter.
He had the Texans end of the year touchdown last year, or the Colts did last night, where it went whoop right through. That was the first thing I thought of. You remember that when the Bears secured the number 1 pick last year because the
Giving back
the Texans scored
in the preseason.
exactly. That's where I'm going. Yeah.
Whatever works.
Mm-hmm.
How about stock up Zach Pickens? I believe he had a tackle for a loss, 2 more run stuffs, and did he have a sack or just a hurry? Either he played pretty good. And Jervon Dexter played all right, I thought. They both started. And here it might be worth noting for people who want to constantly compare the two, we got to be careful there because they're essentially playing 2 different positions.
Yes.
I mean, I know it's D-tackle, but it's a 1 gap versus the 3 tech.
Mm-hmm.
So Pickens has what most people would say is the easier job, but they're both important. But the 3 tech is like the key to the whole defense. So, and that's a tough position to come in and make a huge impact.
Yeah.
So, but I thought Pickens had a nice game, and I thought Dexter didn't look like he was getting blown off the ball as much.
That's good.
Off the snap, I mean. Because
How
that's
did you-
kind of like the big question mark about him.
I wanted to ask you, since you have better insight into line play, what do you think about the O-line guys that were in there, like Carter? It was all the backups pretty much yesterday
I
on
think,
the O-line, right?
by the way, he said you can call him JT.
Oh,
Because he's like, yeah, it's Jatiri, but everybody calls me JT. Done
okay.
and done.
That's much easier, yeah.
I think he looks pretty good. He moves pretty well in space. I thought the tackles didn't have a great game, but I don't expect much from backup tackles on a team that was this thin to begin with. On up front, I mean, who has a good fourth tackle, really?
Yeah.
They do need Borum, though, because they're not going to have everybody play every game. And otherwise, pretty nondescript. I mean, your backups are in. They're backups for a reason, right? I don't think anyone stood out too much either way.
Well,
I thought it was interesting how much burn they gave guys that I don't expect to make the roster, like Fountain, even though they had a really good game. It was clear like the second half was like not even backups, but like end of the roster kind of decisions.
Yeah, last night in a whole seemed to be about who's going to be the depth on the team. You know, they don't seem to be concerned about who's going to be starting.
No, I think that's interesting because like a 3-win team, they must be very happy with the offseason to be approaching it that way.
Yeah.
And I guess now's a good time to transition to the week of practice with the Colts, which was really the game to this coaching staff, right? The 2 days with the Colt ones versus the Bears ones. Fields was phenomenal in 7-on-7. I think he was 8 for 8 one game or on Thursday with a couple touchdowns. Team drills, I think, were okay. They weren't bad or anything. But in the 2-minute situations, both ones defensively won those, like where the offense has to score in like however much time from like the 25 or whatever. Both defenses held. But I think the Bears coaches were really happy with what they did in those 2 practices. And that more than anything is why they didn't play the starters. I think we're looking at like this week's, we've already done the starters work. And I saw on Twitter, who was it? Olin or maybe Greg Gabriel, somebody with way more NFL chops than us, had said that those joint practices are where you actually run your real stuff, because you don't want to put it on tape in the preseason. And that's what the other reason why the ones they already got their work and why they're happy to do, why they were happy to just not bother playing them in the preseason, because they wouldn't be running the real stuff, which they already got lots of live snaps on. So that all makes sense to me.
Right.
But it's just weird, though, and I'll see what you think about this, Mr. Kansas, when you see Andy Reid continuing to play Mahomes.
Yeah. Surprising.
Yeah, that guy needs to work on his nothing.
Did you see the clip floating around of he's running out of bounds and throws it and it's incomplete, and the guy who tweeted it was like, "Oh my gosh, he's still finding new ways to play football," or something. Like, wow, that was the greatest incompletion I've ever seen in my life.
I love watching Mahomes. He's fun. He's done the whole run out of bounds, throw it thing before and actually completed it. So I really don't know why we're impressed at a preseason incompletion.
And Joe Burrow did it and got a touchdown out of it. So
yeah, it's like it's a cool play if he catches it, but I don't know. Some people are just silly.
Weird, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe they're trying some stuff or just putting things on tape that are going to be misdirection later. I don't know.
Right. I thought it was weird. I don't mind Fields not playing if he had good work against the Colts. I did think it was kind of weird that somebody like Darnell Wright, who's still getting his NFL feet wet, wasn't getting at least a few reps. Or you wanted to see Bajent behind the second string. What about Bajent with some of the first string? I'm not talking about playing DJ Moore or anything, but I thought some of the guys that were out, I thought was a little interesting, but it was basically like we're not playing the ones, period. And that's okay this week with the practice. What about, though, for next week? Do you want to see Fields in the ones against, I think it's Buffalo?
That's the question here, yeah. I mean, I'd like to see him one more time just to get some more, real in-time experience before game 1. I won't be too upset if he doesn't, I don't think. But I'd like to see more than just the successful screens that he did last week.
Yeah, they play the Bills. in Chicago at noon Saturday, to clarify that. Obviously you can't really say one way or the other what's 100% the way it should be, because successful teams have done it both ways, like rest and play, and unsuccessful teams, Matt Nagy, right, has done it both ways. So it's like there's not a hard, clear answer here.
Just
I would
had to bring
say
him up.
I'd like Fields to play the first quarter with the rest of the ones.
Yeah,
And I
one more time.
definitely want to see the ones on the lines, because I think all those guys need reps, both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
If they say, man, Fields had another great week of practice, he's too important to risk injury, fine. But the linemen, I think, need to get some more work, because I do still think on both sides of the ball that is the potential weak link.
Yeah. Do you think it's worth trying Bajent with the ones just to see if he's really going to be a number 2 quarterback possibility? Do you think they would do that?
I don't really know. I mean,
Yeah.
the way Chicago is, I can just hear Dan Weeder being like, Bajent should be the QB1, right? Like, the silliness.
He wouldn't really be. He wouldn't do
I'm
that.
kidding. I just picking on the punching bag. I wouldn't. This is what I would not do. I would not risk an injury to an offensive lineman in a key spot with the ones just to see if Bajent looks good with them.
Okay.
Because it's like, yeah, he'll be fine if he's fine, you know. But if you think they need work or they need to gel and you want to run all the ones to get 2 drives or something, then play them. But I wouldn't say, ooh, let's play Darnell Wright to see how he looks like Bajent looks like with these guys, and then Wright gets hurt and you're like, wait, why did you even bother? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if they sit everyone, I'll understand.
Okay.
It will be interesting because now you're in the build up to an actual game, right? Where practices are closed,
Right.
and they're going to do like the last day as a walkthrough. And I'm curious as to what they decide to do with Buffalo. I don't think they've made up their mind yet either, perhaps.
Well, when there were 4 games, teams used to use game 3, the first half, as like the dress rehearsal. They still have to do some kind of dress rehearsal, don't they? So maybe first quarter of the third game, maybe.
When they switched the schedule to 3 preseason games, I think everyone thought, oh, second game will be the big one for the starters.
Yeah.
But now a lot of teams are doing what the Bears just did, where the week we do the joint practice, we won't bother playing the ones at all. So does that mean it bumps down to week 3 now? I have a hard time thinking that, and I mean, I think he's doing a nice job right now, but Coachy McCocherson, right, Mr. Hits, is okay with his first QB having 3 reps and the ball traveling like 4 yards in the air. You
That's
know,
what I'm saying.
That seems kind of like out of character.
That's what I
like
said
he's
earlier.
Gonna play a quarter.
I want to see more than just the screens. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
But I won't throw a fit if he doesn't.
Agreed. Yep.
So, let's talk one other topic, as these preseason recaps don't need to be huge. What do you think of how Jordan Love has played in the 2 preseason games, and should we care at all? Because he's actually looked better than all the camp reports were saying.
The meatball side of me wants to relish in that he has not looked particularly good in practices, but yeah, he's looked better once the games start. But again, preseason, how much do you put into that? Like I said earlier, you can look good in preseason but still be bad. But if you look bad in preseason, you're probably still bad no matter what.
How good Mitch looked in the game? I think it was actually against Buffalo. His first big look in the preseason. He's like throwing on the move, completed a tight end over to a tight end over the middle. Everybody was like, yes. And it was like, Mike Glennon, why? You know, it didn't make sense to have him starting. So that's always my cautionary tale about looking too good in the preseason, even against ones or close to ones. Jordan Love might be good enough to beat to make good throws when he doesn't have to worry about anything with sophisticated coverage or complex blitz schemes or zone blitzes or whatever. But I think it's also fair, and we just need to have this conversation as a balancing, I guess.
Yeah.
To say he might be better than Bears fans are giving him credit for, but still not think he's going to be the next Hall of Fame Green Bay quarterback.
I think that's fair, and I think that's realistic.
There's been such extremes about him that I kind of feel almost bad for him as much as I possibly can for a Packers QB. Like, he's kind of got an impossible job here.
Yeah.
And, like, Everyone, oh, he sucks. Well, he might. It's weird that they took this long and that they gave Rodgers the extension in the first place. But he's shown enough on some of these throws where, like, okay, there's some arm talent there. It's whether he can put it all together, and that doesn't sound that different than lots of young QBs.
Right. Exactly.
And just because we hate the Packers doesn't mean he's terrible. He's probably somewhere in the middle. If he's middling, how good are they?
Middling.
But their defense is good if it's healthy.
Yeah.
This all sickens me to the core.
Well, hey, how about this though? If he's not terrible, they don't get Caleb Williams next year.
I want him to be 7-10,
Okay.
8-9.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Beat the Vikings once, lose to us twice. I don't care what they do with the Lions, right? But like them getting a high pick would be way worse.
Yeah.
And we want the Jets to be good, so we're in this weird spot where we're rooting for Rodgers, sort of.
No. No, I can't do that. I can't do that.
I can't really root for him, but I am hoping that they will be good enough to make a Packers pick not that great. Or he could get hurt, and then they don't get it, right? If he misses like 6 games, it's a second rounder, not a first or something.
I don't know how all that
There's
works.
a lot of details there. We're trying to give the Packers the worst pick possible is all that is.
Yes.
And while we're on compensation, just for fun, have you seen any of the stuff from Carolina?
No. Again, I'm trying not to read too much into what we've seen, but
they cannot block. If that was the ones, I don't even know.
And to be fair, I mean that's what poor Fields had to deal with his rookie year. So,
yep,
you don't want to read too much into it for poor Bryce Young.
I am absolutely rooting for Bryce Young, just as soon as 2024.
That's right.
You know, like I'll pull a Rangers and thank them for helping my franchise, and be happy to adopt them here and there when they got a game on.
Yeah.
But for this year, come on, top 5 pick.
That's right. And then who do you want? You want Marvin Harrison Jr. with that? Is that where you would go?
Oh, if he's there, absolutely. If not, I guess I'm just picking the best edge.
Yeah, that's
or a stud tackle if
go.
I need one, depending on Braxton Jones or how that shakes out. But I think Marvin Harrison's just going to be too good not to pick there. Pair him with DJ Moore. Ooh, that would be delightful. And otherwise edge. But I mean, Carolina's in the South, which is not top heavy. But like the Saints are always competent. People seem to think the Falcons are improved. Bucks, oh boy, they could be really bad, actually. I mean, I don't think it's out of the question to think that that's a pick in the 3 to 10 range.
Yeah,
I don't think they're like gonna get the number 1 pick because the Cardinals are like atrocious, right? But I think they could pick anywhere in that range, and it wouldn't be that surprising.
Boy, if the Cardinals, that would be their third first-round quarterback in 10 years, if that happened.
Something like that.
And one of them was decent. Like Kyler Murray's been decent, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not been.
I just think you have the opportunity, if you're them, to reset with Caleb Williams. You're pretty much doing it, and you trade Murray for whatever. But yeah, so it's been kind of fun. I think I've had more fun following like what the rookies are doing here and there in the preseason than I did this week's game of the Bears. Like it was more interesting seeing nationally what's going on with rookies with things that they're actually working on, especially at the QB position. So yeah, I agree, Shugo, with the Jordan Love thing. He says he's done the bare minimum. I expect a 3-year vet to me is how I think of it. Yeah, without much experience. And I think Jordan Love still has a lot to prove, but I don't think we should. I think we've been a little quick in the Bears fandom to write him off because we're due for them to be bad at QB.
Right. I've been guilty of that too, yeah.
But is he bad? I don't know yet. I think it's like all things are still possible there.
Yeah, he could be average.
Yeah.
Maybe that would most likely.
Look, they won 1 Super Bowl with like a top 5 all-time QB and Rodgers in however many years, so average isn't going to probably get it done for him. I'll take that.
Yeah, you need an all-time defense if you have an average quarterback, which we won a Super Bowl that way. Yep. We got to a Super Bowl that way and won a Super Bowl that way,
and then fell apart
quickly. Yeah.
Great QB sustains excellence. No
That's
getting
right.
around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here I agree with Shugo here. He might just be mind-numbingly average. Yep.
That
Referring
would
to
be
Jordan Love. Yep.
that's just about perfect
Yeah.
because they won't ever pick super high, and they'll keep him for a little bit.
Shanahan special.
I kind of like that idea actually. Just bring on the 6 to 8 win 10-year run for the Packers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Who would that be like? Like what team does that all the time besides the Bears? Redskins? Oh, I'm sorry, Commanders.
Whoa! I got to figure out how to bleep that out now. It's already out in the live stream.
There's
Great.
rumors they're gonna change their name again.
You know
Like
what? Commanders is really kind of dumb.
they
So
should. They should have done. There was like a local, like the Red Wolves or something that
yeah,
wanted to
Red
do. That would have been
Tails. Yeah.
Red
Mm-hmm.
Tails. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been cool, and it would have been a neat shout out to a historical
Right. Maybe they'll
event
do
with a
that.
group of people.
And then they can keep their HTTR, Hail to the Red something.
Whatever's.
Exactly.
All right, you got anything else? Is there anything we're missing Bears wise?
No, we covered everything I was thinking of.
So with the last thing I have, with the game at noon, we could tentatively say 3:30 to 4
Okay.
for the live stream, but that
Right.
could get blown up by plans with children that I'm not aware of.
All right. Well, I will not put anything official out yet, though. I get too excited, like we're gonna do it here.
Yeah,
and,
and I'm like
so,
watching the game. I'm like, I don't want to recap this at 10 o'clock. It's not got enough worth
Yeah.
saying.
And we actually had a good time at a friend's birthday party last night instead, so
Yeah.
that worked out well.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you for stopping by the live stream. We are Barely Educated. You can find us on Twitter at barely_educated. You can Gmail us at email us at Gmail. What is it? Barely
Educated pod, yeah.
at gmail.com, and we'll take some questions there.
Look
You can
what
tell how
Shugo
often
just said.
I check that.
He's throwing shade at us already here. It's true. It's true. We're sorry. We're sorry.
We're total part timers. So yeah, but thank you so much for stopping by, and we will see you after the Bills game at some point.